Hey Kentucky, this is Mary Jo Perino. Tonight, an extended discussion of the remarkable events in the bluegrass and around the world. Plus, a scouting report on some incoming UK freshmen from the NBA veteran who is working them all out. All that and more is next on Hey Kentucky. Welcome to Hey Kentucky with LEX 18 Sports Director Keith Farmer. Keith, it has been just an unbelievable weekend across the country.
Yeah, a lot of emotions with everything that is going on, and everybody's still just trying to process it and trying to come together.
Let's see if we can try to help in our own little way. All right, it's certainly been an unforgettable past few days as the issue of racial justice has taken the world and Kentucky by storm. In Louisville, protests ended with the death of a man overnight. Governor Beshear says state police will investigate after the killing following reports of gunshots fired toward Louisville police and National Guard troops who had been called in to keep calm in the city. Louisville's demonstrations have been among the more destructive in the state, including a Friday night filled with all sorts of damage at 4th Street Live, where some people broke windows, spray painted buildings and sidewalks, and left trash in the street. The governor is pushing for a quick release of video involving the fatal shooting, while the mother of fallen EMT Breonna Taylor also appeared with Beshear to talk about her pain.
But I believe that the people of Kentucky deserve to see it for themselves. And I believe in seeing it can decide whether this was justified or whether it is cause for more concern.
Just justice for her. Just that people know the truth, what happened, that she didn't deserve this, that people are fired for doing this to her. To know Breonna, she was full of life. She loved life, she respected life. This is so much bigger than her.
A Louisville police officer has been reassigned after he appeared to target a TV reporter with pepper bullets, as she reported on Friday night's protests. It's one of several incidents across the country where members of the media have become targets. Keith, you don't want anyone to get hurt because people are already hurting.
Yeah, and in some ways, I feel like I'm not the one that should be sitting here talking about this. I wish we could bring in a Chip Cosby or a Perrin Johnson, because their insight would definitely be more helpful than anything I could talk about right now. What I will say is I think it's something that needs to happen as far as the discussion goes, and I just pray that it could be peacefully.
Absolutely. All right, protests have been ongoing in Lexington as well. Although things unfolded somewhat differently than in Louisville, the latest gathering came last night downtown as demonstrators marched down Main Street, Broadway to Vine, chanting the entire time. Many protesters brought signs with messages like Black Lives Matter, no justice, no peace, and silence is complicity. A number of Lexington police officers stood by in riot gear.
It was finally a tipping point for me, which brought the silence is complicity to my mind, because I adopted a son in 2006. He's African American. I have to worry about him going to play basketball. I have to worry about him going fishing. Every single thing that he does is scrutinized to a huge degree, and he's at great risk.
It's very important, for people to come and protest, because if you see, this thing can lead to a race war, something. Look at what is going on Chicago and stuff like that, But thank God here we are not going that far. We are having a peaceful protest.
While there were some signs of tension at the Lexington rally, there were many more signs of hope as protesters and police were spotted kneeling and praying together. The woman who reportedly started the prayer and kneeling says she also hugged some of the officers. She says 2 officers cried with her. Keith, I was really hoping, and maybe it's happened and I don't know, I haven't been able to watch everything, was really hoping what happened in Lexington last night would take center stage nationwide.
Yeah, it was really neat to see. I did hear of somebody getting in a police officer's face, but for the most part, so peaceful, and like you said, them kneeling down, praying together. I've seen other video from across the country of people sharing water with the police that are standing around. I've seen them walking with cops. So that's the kind of protest that I would like to see take place.
All right, protests from other parts of the state have also made headlines. In Bowling Green, a man was arrested after police say his pickup struck a woman as she protested outside the local police station, leaving her with minor injuries. It's one of several instances around the country where protesters have been hit with vehicles. In Paducah, a group gathered at Kentucky Oaks Mall last night. Store windows were broken. It followed a peaceful protest earlier in the day at a local park. And police in Elizabethtown were on hand for a protest Friday where there were no reports of violence. Keith, this is something feels different about it. It's everywhere across the country, big cities to small towns.
You said it right. Big cities to small towns. It's happening everywhere. The thing that's concerning me most are these groups that are coming in that are maybe elevating it, and they're not really part of this protest. And that's my biggest concern going forward with these.
Or parts of the cities where they're going to. The remarkable events that have unfolded over the past few days have also drawn reactions from familiar names in the Kentucky sports world. Coach Cal tweeted about his dismay over the injustices we've seen. He called for an open dialogue and conversation about these issues. Football coach Mark Stoops chimed in saying, quote, "We must find a way to treat each other the way we want to be treated, with unity and respect." Several assistant coaches also weighed in. Former UK star Dwayne Casey, he issued a statement in his role as the coach of the Detroit Pistons. He talked about growing up in an atmosphere of endless racism and constant fear during his childhood in Indiana, and his concerns about what the world looks like now for his 8-year-old son. And some current and potentially future basketball cats took to social media with some strong images and words related to the headlines, including 5-star recruit Sky Clark, who participated in a protest in Nashville. Keith, young and old, everybody's got to be a part of this.
Yeah, and black and white,
Yes.
and every other race out there just needs to be a part of this conversation where we can share love and not hate, and find a way to get along when you maybe don't know that person that's you're crossing the street with or against. And it's become a frustrating thing that I hope now is what needs to be the final conversation, the first and final conversation, because it seems like we've had some in the past, and it really needs to be figured out.
Yes, it needs to go beyond what's happening over the last weekend. It needs to continue in a way. All right, believe it or not, we do have one short topic about the coronavirus in Kentucky as we wrap it up. Another round of businesses were allowed to reopen across the state today as part of Governor Beshear's Healthy at Work initiative. Gyms, aquatic centers, theaters, and bowling alleys are among those establishments allowed to reopen in this next phase of recovery, but with a set of restrictions designed to keep customers safe. Keith, did you head back to the gym?
I think that's the one that kind of concerns me, just because of all the sharing of equipment and everything. As long as it all gets wiped down and everybody takes care of it for the next person, I'd feel a little better. There are a couple of places. I think I'm easing up on the coronavirus now where I feel like we can get out and we can do some things. But some of those places, still a little bit of a concern for me maybe I want to wait and see.
Yep. All right, up next on Hey Kentucky, I'm going to offer a few of my own thoughts on the issues we face related to racial justice. And later, some future Wildcats have turned to help from a 10-year NBA vet as they try to prepare for the upcoming season. Keith's going to go one-on-one with Darren Collison for a scouting report on BJ Boston, Devin Askew, and Terrence Clark. Stay with us.